About 300,000 Italians visit Ireland every year, be they students to learn English or plain tourists. But over the last 20 years, some 15,000 Italians have come to Ireland with the view of living and working here. According to official data, there are 34,000 Italians living here in Ireland today. That is, Italians who are registered with the Italian embassy. What is interesting is that there were never so many Italians like now. In fact, about 50 years ago, the Italians living in Ireland were only 3,500. The Italian presence in Ireland has its history, which dates back centuries. In fact, 2 centuries ago, there were so many Italians coming to Ireland. They were not emigrants, but they were architects, designers, stucco workers, musicians, singers, etc., who were not emigrating from Italy, but they were called for their services by the most well-to-do families in Ireland. Architects and designers, as well as stucco workers, left a legacy of elegance and beauty in Ireland, especially in most of the most prestigious mansions in Dublin and throughout the country. Talking about the history of Italians in Ireland, we cannot but mention 3 important names, namely Bianconi, Marconi and Nannetti. Bianconi came to Ireland as a youngster. He was only 18 years of age in 1802. He was here to train in the sale of prints with a friend of his father, but he stayed in Ireland because he saw that there was some business to be done. And specifically, what he did was invest the first few savings in a coach driven by horses, and in the space of a few years he built a fleet of about 100 coaches. He had 100 drivers, and he had also 1,300 horses. So he was the pioneer of transport of goods, people and mail throughout the whole territory of Ireland, including the north. The second name is Guglielmo Marconi, whose mother was Annie Jameson of the Jameson whiskey family, and his first wife was also Irish. But apart from that, he built in Ireland a few radio stations, all dotted around the coastline, but one in particular in Derrygimla, near the town of Clifton in Connemara. He built the most powerful radio stations because from there, in 1907, he started for the very first time transatlantic transmissions between Ireland, between Europe and Canada. The third name is that of Joe Nannetti. Joe Nannetti was a grandchild of a Neapolitan couple who immigrated to Ireland, and is quite noted for having been the Lord Mayor of Dublin in 2 consecutive years, 1906 and 1907, apart from being also mentioned in Joyce's Ulysses. A fourth Italian character who left a mark in the history of Ireland was Giuseppe Caprani, who left Vercana, his native town near Lake Como, as he was persecuted by the Austrians during the last years of Italian rising, and settled in Ireland after spending a few years in London working for Fleet Street newspapers as a typographer and inventor of revolutionary lithographic methods. In Ireland he generated a dynasty of typographers, and one of his sons, Menotti Caprani, worked for the Freeman's Journal, and is also mentioned by Joyce in Ulysses, together with John Annetti. In the field of music, an Italian pianist by the name of Michele Esposito stands out for his contribution to the history of music in Ireland. For 40 years he was professor of music at the Royal Irish Academy of Music in Dublin. It was in between the two World Wars and soon after the Second World War that the first Italian immigrants began to arrive here in Ireland. There were no more than 10 large families, coming almost exclusively from an area between Rome and Naples called Ciociaria. And there were economic migrants, as we would define them today, because they came from war-stricken Italy. This first batch of Italians, very industrious and very determined to work hard to make a good living for their families, set up business all over Dublin. Most of them got involved in the so-called industry of fish and chips, although this was a formula which had already been established in England, Wales and Scotland. If you were here in the 60s, O'Connell Street, the main artery of Dublin city, was dotted around on both sides with wimpy bars, ice cream parlors, fish and chip shops, restaurants, owned by Italians. It was like an invasion, as it were. In the 70s, this first contingent of Italians resident in Ireland formed an association called Club Italiano IRLANDA, and in 1987 built a clubhouse in the hills of Dublin. This massive project was the brainchild of Donato Borza, a respected member of the community. Club Italiano holds yearly dinner dance gala evenings, organized by its efficient and passionate committee. Before and soon after the turn of the century, two Italian ladies made history. Michelle Rocca was elected Miss Ireland in 1980, and Tamara Gervasoni won the Rose of Tralee national competition in 2002. So far we have talked about the first wave of Italian immigrants to Ireland, the ones who came from a limited area in Italy and who came here and settled, opening business like fish and chips and restaurants. But what about the second wave of Italians who have brought our numbers to 15,000 and more? These are young people coming from all over Italy who came to Ireland in search of a job, and they found it. They came just before the Celtic Tiger, during the Celtic Tiger and after, and they keep coming because jobs in Italy are quite scarce. They're highly motivated people. They're mainly graduates in their 20s and 30s. And they work in multinationals such as Google, Apple, Intel, Microsoft and similar, as well as in the 100 Italian companies that have been set up in the last few decades in Ireland. They are a vibrant section of our community who enjoy living here. After all, they enjoy a level of salaries which is quite desirable.
My name is Giuseppe Crupi. I've been living in Ireland 15 years now. I come from Calabria, very proud of it. And I came as an engineer, but at the moment I am the director of the Italian School of Cooking, which is part of the Flavor of Italy group, and I'm the spokesman of the group. I'm very happy to be the ambassador for the group of the Italian food and wine in Ireland. We are on television, on a TV program called Ireland AM, just to represent Italy at its best.
My name is Rosanna Fiorenza. I'm originally from Turin, and I moved together with my partner, who is Sicilian, in 2007, so it's about 10 years now that I've been living in Dublin. I used to work in the financial sector, and then I moved on creating my own company, Traveling Languages, who is a very innovative English school. And I love Ireland because of its people, because of its great opportunities that give to everyone who actually want to succeed and try on new things.
I'm Walter, I come from Turin, in Italy. I moved here 1 year ago, more or less, and I'm actually working in Traveling Languages and English school located in the city center of Dublin. I work as group manager or group leader with other students. I really like Ireland, I really like the positive attitude of its inhabitants and the great amount of opportunities that you have here.
Laura Pietrangelo, graduate in political and economic science from Lekkard. You have been living in this country for the last 17 years, working in different places of some prestige. Now, can you tell us about your career?
Yes, well, I worked for Hertz Rent-A-Car, and then I decided to change, and I moved to PayPal when just started here in Ireland, and I moved to Xbox, working for Microsoft, LinkedIn, and now in 2 weeks' time I'll start a new adventure for Amazon.
My goodness, just that's mobility in operation, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
And this is one of the good sides of the island, of course, mobility of work. If you have personality, you have a good degree, a good education, and you have determination, as you were talking about a minute ago, etc., you make it in this country, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is for me an important message that I wanted to share when I was managing Italian people coming recently from Italy, to change their mindset, to make sure that they could still desire and dream to do whatever they want once they have the ability to do it, and working hard in order to achieve.
Very much.
Thank you, Concetto. Thank you very much.
Over the last few decades, there has been a proliferation of restaurants, especially Italian restaurants, here in Dublin and throughout the country. When you think that in the 60s there were only 5 Italian restaurants, now between Dublin and outside Dublin they may run into their hundreds. Now it is obvious to assume that in fact there would be so many Italians coming to Ireland to either open restaurants or run it as managers and work in them as waiters. Flavor of Italy can arguably be classified as one of the most progressive Italian companies in Ireland and a success story. It all started when 2 enterprising Italians from the region of Molise, Marco Giannantonio and Maurizio Mastrangelo, thought of adding to the colorful scenario of Italian enterprise in Ireland an Italian food and wine import and distribution company which would not just stop at importing and distributing, but dynamically act as ambassadors of the best Italian culinary traditions to Ireland. Not surprisingly, their company was called Flavor of Italy, soon incorporating a restaurant called Pinocchio in the district of Ranelagh in Dublin, and an Italian school of cooking, showcasing the principal aims of the company. It is always worth mentioning that in 1983 an Italian magazine was established called Italia Stampa, which was published for 31 years until 2014. In 2015, the editor of this magazine, now a magazine online called italvideonewstv.net, who is also the producer of this documentary, spearheaded a project for the broadcast of TV format weekly news reviews 29 programs were produced with the precious collaboration of newsreader Carmen Sant'Angelo. Maurizio, you are the creator of Radio Dublino, a project, an enterprise which is very laudable, which is now in existence for the last 3 years. Can you talk about the success of this station?
That's correct. Radio Dublino was born in 2013. It was just a tentative to promote Italian language, Italian culture in Dublin. It was the only one years ago. And it was just a radio program in Mir FM, it's a community radio broadcast in Dublin, 90.3 FM. And now it has become an important program. There are maybe now 16 co-presenters, a lot of people interested in our music, in our talk, in our news, communication. Yeah.
Sure, you have a great mix, I must say. In fact, you have seen possibly your audience or listener rate growing all the time.
Oh, that's true, but it's interesting because it was born for Italian community, for the expats. But now a lot of Irish people interested in Italian culture, Italian language, are part of our audience. That's very interesting because people want to listen more Italian music, Italian talking, Italian language. So now it's a sort of community with Italian, Irish, all people living in Dublin and around.
Very.
Italian community has left an indelible mark on the cultural, economic, and social landscape of Ireland. A tale of resilience, adaptability, and integration. This is the story of the Italian community in Ireland. A story that serves as a testament to Ireland's inclusive society and the Italians' enduring spirit. A story that continues to unfold, adding new chapters to the ever-evolving narrative of Ireland's multicultural society.